If you haven't noticed, all the biggest fights in boxing lately, they're happening thanks to one man, Turkey Al Sheikh. From heavyweight blockbusters to stacked undercards, he personally is bankrolling and arranging the matchups fans have been begging for. Oh, and he's giving us a Cinco de Mayo lineup that boxing hasn't seen in decades. But for Turkey, just arranging fights isn't enough. Buying the Ring magazine, it isn't enough. He wants to reform boxing, and he's been very public about it. I am all for boxers having the ability to make crazy money, let's be honest, but the Mayweather effect has ruined matchups. And A0 with all bums on your record is lame. And if your only marketing gimmick is being undefeated, there's a problem. Not to mention, fights don't get made when they should, and when they do happen, it's past the hype cycle, loaded with rematch clauses and catchweight drama. So what does Turkey do? He partners with TKO Group, the UFC plus WWE's holding company, to launch a combat sports powerhouse, TKO Boxing. And conveniently, there's someone under that TKO umbrella who's been dreaming of boxing reform for decades. Enter Dana White, MMA's most influential figure. And yeah, I think Dana is on his way out of MMA. Reshaping one of the oldest sports in mankind's history might be a bigger task than his creation of the UFC. It's no longer a scrappy private company, it's part of a public corporation, meaning stockholders and boardrooms run the show now. And Dana, he's still the face, but he's not the engine anymore. That's why he's out here launching Power Slap like a guy trying to keep himself busy during retirement. And remember, Dana's first love was boxing. He trained in it, managed boxers, and once tried to launch Sufo boxing. Floyd Mayweather even joked that Dana used to carry his bags.
I have anything against him, but I can remember Dana White used to hang around me and Jeff Mayweather and carry my bags.
Yes.
I remember that.
Although I don't know if it's true, even the idea that a pound man like Dana would do that goes to show how badly he wanted into boxing. So now we have a Saudi billionaire with unlimited money, the man who built the UFC into a global sports empire, a shared belief that boxing is broken, a brand new venture under one roof. Sounds like a dream team, right? Well, hold on a second. The problem, the Muhammad Ali Act. If TKO try to run boxing like the UFC on US soil, they get sued into the ground. Why? Because the Ali Act forbids promoters from acting as a fighter's manager. That's the cornerstone of the UFC model, a centralized control over matchmaking, rankings, and fighter contracts. Under the Ali Act, that's illegal. So how could TKO get around it? I made some likely strategies and gave them a rating. Number 1, peer pressure contracts. Use intimidating legal language like, this contract is governed by the laws of Abu Dhabi. All disputes resolved in Saudi arbitration. Fighter waives protection under US law. None of this would hold up if the fight takes place in the US, but it might scare fighters into signing, especially younger lower tier boxers who just want a paycheck. Feasibility, B+. Number 2, no US events or broadcasts. Just run fights overseas and let's avoid US jurisdiction entirely. The problem is, that's not a long-term strategy. You can't compete in boxing without US audiences, broadcasters, and talent. A full stop, the promotion will lose influence against other promotions and be phased out. Feasibility, F-. Number 3, show promoters and proxy managers. This is a smart play because it allows TKO to stay clean, abiding to the law. Fighters to sign with the partner manager or affiliate promoter of TKO. The affiliate answers to TKO, but legally isn't TKO running the whole show. This creates plausible deniability and legal distance from the Ali Act while still letting TKO run the show behind the curtain. And with the connections Dana White has made trailblazing the UFC to skirt around the Ali Act is possible. And billionaires, they love their legal loop-the-loops like this. Feasibility, A+. The bigger question, will fighters go along with it? For now, maybe not. A hypothetical league pay structure from the new TKO boxing setup is already making fighters nervous. If I'm AJ, Wilder, Usyk, or Gervonta and some bald-headed executive tells me to take a pay cut for the good of the sport, yeah, no thanks. Gervonta himself has stated multiple times.
Belts and I don't care about that stuff. I don't care about none of that. I worry about getting my money and getting out of here. That's what I want.
But give it a couple years, maybe a decade. As current stars retire and new fighters emerge, many of them, most of whom will make peanuts, will gladly take a consistent paycheck in the structured league model, especially if they know Dana's team can actually build stars. something boxing has struggled with. The one major component besides the Fertitta's brother involvement in the sport that made the UFC was the stars it made in such a short time frame. To be clear, I'm not talking about McGregor level stars, but the unranked fighter or lowly contender the public resonates with. For every small star like Rolly, Keyshawn Davis, Pitbull, Robert Merriweather, Mario Barrios, Shakir Stevenson, and Kermit Moden in boxing, there's a dozen of similarly sized or relative names like Sean O'Malley, Ian Gary, Peyton Talbot, Kevin Holland, Brandon Roybal, Bo Nickel, and Bryce Mitchell. Think of the UFC's pipeline, Cage Warriors, Invicta, LFA, and other promotions whose sole purpose is to feed talent to the UFC. They built infrastructure, feeder leagues, regional circuits, and a whole system built to identify talent. And boxing is still mostly the Wild West of people stealing talent to sign themselves or cutting people out, so they're forced into negotiations between a dozen of promotions who only care about sanctioning fees and manager fees. Boxing may finally get UFC-ized. It will be cleaner, more organized, and simply worse for fighters who don't want a pay cut. But many fighters who don't have the talent to be the best may earn a better living and fans look at the fights they want, unless someone enforces the Muhammad Ali Act, or better yet, extends it to MMA too.